A very good evening to our viewers. Welcome to Elite TV and you're watching Open Debate in English. I'm Amrita, your host for this crucial debate on the topic, how many more milestones to peace? A small step towards peace has been taken. Dead bodies of both sides of this conflict have reached their final resting place after a Supreme Court directive. However, there are discrepancies between the Supreme Court directive and the manner it was actually carried out. Nevertheless, it's a positive step towards normalcy. But let's not forget, thousands are languishing in relief camps with no sign of rehabilitation into their original homes. Many of them refuse to move into the prefabricated houses by citing horrible sanitation. How much longer will they be denied basic rights? Even the Kuki leadership seems to be stuck, and the Meiteis are now resorting to activities of media clarifications. Suffice to say, both sides want to end this conflict. To discuss on this matter, our expert panelists are present in the studio today. First of all, our first panelist for tonight is Mr. N.Ibungochoubi, Executive Editor, Manipur Mail. Welcome to Open Debate. And our next panelist for tonight is Mr. Rinku Khumukcham, Editor, Imphal Times. Welcome to Open Debate.
Thank you.
And our third panelist for tonight is none other than Madam A. Noutuneshowri, retired District and Sessions Judge. Welcome to Open Debate, Madam. I'll start right away with my first question to N.Ibungochoubi. At such a juncture, why is the government still unable to bring out a workable and agreeable resolution for this conflict?
Why is the government not able to solve the problem? That is what you
Yes, and a workable and an agreeable resolution for both parties.
Okay, I had already given my editorial comment right from the very day one, and I still believe that the rule of law, we believe that if there is a government, the government has to convince its people, convince us that there is a sense of rule of law. I think in Manipur, people are not convinced that the present crisis is not being controlled, simply because the administration, the government, both at the center and in Manipur, they have not been able to convince the people that the rule of law exists in our very state. The very system called administration, whether it is a political or the law enforcing agencies or the common people, if there had been some sense of rule of law that the government of India or the central government or the state government had to prove and tell the people that these are things that we will initiate by taking prompt action. I think that was the message not given at the very beginning. And now, almost after 6 months of what had happened or what we are experiencing today, we are yet to see the vision, we are yet to see what the government is thinking. I am just trying to understand what is the union government trying to tell the people of Manipur, not to the people of Manipur, to the entire people of the country, and of course the entire world is watching what is happening in our country, in our state. I am yet to hear, I am yet to understand, I am yet to read the minds of people who are at the helm of power, whether it is the central government or the state government, what their plans are. If they have a plan, they should let us know what kind of plans, what kind of steps. This is step 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then we can discuss as to how, whether those plans the government is thinking should be, they should be able to translate into reality, or should we be able to take part in that discussion of how we can bring peace? Unless the government spells out a plan, the government tells the people that these are the lines that we are thinking on. Unless they spell out what the government is thinking, I think we are at a loss. And I think it was just a couple of weeks ago that I also participated in your discussion. We have to understand, we have to believe that the wound, the cut is very deep.
Yes.
And it will take time to heal. There is a process how more infections have to be solved. At the same time, to say that peace will come at the will, at the very, very next day, I think that would be a wrong presumption, because as we understand that the cut is very deep, the wound is very deep, it will take time to heal. At the same time, what is the government thinking? What are the steps that government would initiate to bring peace? This is also something that we would like to hear. And unless they spell out, unless they interact, it would be very difficult for the media persons like us to comment on what is happening in Manipur. And of course, who doesn't love peace? Who doesn't love tranquility? Who doesn't love peace in this world? We all would like to see peace that is in our state. A couple of months back, we saw everything. I just came back after attending a meeting of the Sports Association, and just last year we had we were very lucky to have the Manipur State Olympic Games, and we experienced the thrill, the excitement of children coming from all over the state. They were taking part. There were about 2,000 to 3,000 youth playing sports in every discipline, whether it was football, hockey, a lot of things that were happening in Manipur. So we were just thinking that how we can organize sports in the country, sports in the state. It is a very, very serious challenge today. If we have to conduct the next state sports championship, how it is going to be a very tough challenge for us. We took part in the national games that was happening in Gujarat. We also took part in the national games that took part in Goa. We became successful. But now, in our own state, what is happening? So unless peace comes back, we are going to have a very serious challenge. And we would like to comment. We would like to share our thoughts when the government clearly spells out what exactly they intend doing, rather than doing from the back door. I think this would be my first comment. Let us also hear from our expert panelists. We also have legal experts. We have also had we also have a very promising and intellectual media colleague. The government has to spell out what they are thinking. They should think aloud, they should act accordingly, and then we will also be able to comment in our editorial views.
Yes, indeed. I'd like to point out that a lack of sense of rule of law that you have just mentioned, that a lack of sense of rule of law is prevalent in the whole of state, and it's what's keeping this sense of a suspended kind of a war-like situation still not coming to an end, is what I'd like to summarize in the opening remarks. I'd like to come to Rinku, that a lot of the restrictions that was placed during the peak of this conflict, for example, the internet ban has been lifted now, and even the curfew relaxation hours are longer. Even the dead bodies have been exchanged. So what more is needed now to start a negotiation and to bring this back into normalcy?
What more is needed is there is one specific question everyone is asking. Right at the moment, you have already told that according to the directives of the Supreme Court, the dead bodies has been handed over to the family members. Is well and good. Keeping the dead body inside the morgue, it will, ignite anger more and more to the families as well as to the community. Not only to a specific community, but to every community. And lying the dead body nearby us also, we also still continue to feel that there is something happening which we the people never wanted to create so. But having said so, and the internet ban has been lifted, that is also true. So is this what the government is doing to end this balance? There is one question I want to put to the viewers also and to the anchor also. There is a shame. When there is a fear in these things, a fear in the common people, it is easier for the leader to control the mind of the common people. When there is a fear of war, drugs, and then when there is a fear that some alliance people or some immigrants are trying to attack our people, this kind of fear, if you continue creating, inciting to the minds of the people, then it is easier for those in the upper hand to control the mind of those people. So it seems like what we are witnessing today, there is the fight was earlier. The fight, let me use this language with courtesy from our panels. The the clash between the Meitei and the Kuki people, it happened at first. That is true. It cannot be hid. It begins on May 3, on the eve at Torbung. Everyone knows that. And how it spread also, everyone knows everything. And how the two communities, how there has been, how a gap between the two communities has been created by the agent of this specific, government, say for example, how this community, which should be looking after for the peaceful and the prosperity of both the community, have already started dividing keeping the two in different directions, separating them by, terming a word, what you call it, creating a wall between this not only bunkers. They term this, they divided this these two communities in different way and in different form. What else have taken up, by the ruling government or any other agencies or any other security forces to make sure that these people come together in peace and started talking in peaceful language? Nobody has done that. If you remember, yesterday, 2 Meitei people were arrested. I will use this term, arrested, but later they were handed over to the family by the troop of Assam Rifle, we were told, while they were trying to enter Kangpokpi area. Two Manipuri youth, maybe they Meitei, but they are Manipuri youths. They tried to enter this Kangpokpi area, and they were arrested there, detained there, and then handed over to the police again, and then the police then handed these 2 youths to the family member. It is for the security reason that they detained these 2 people there before entering to Kangpokpi district, because everyone knows that once the Meitei enter to their district, then their life, what would happen to them, nobody knows about it. This is a fact. So that might be a precautionary measure, but the thing is that, are we people safe in our own land? Are we people safe entering to the land which we are claiming to be ours? We have been divided. And the war between, the conflict, the clash between these 2 communities have been somehow put under control by dividing them by the Central Forces Agency using shrewd means of, many means they have already divided and, somehow put under control. But what actually happened now, there is a paradigm shift of this conflict from 2 communities towards the people, to the people of this, entire people of this state. There has been, words of anger has been started, putting up from the other community. For example, the Naga community started expressing their anguish about the, ill treatment of some people by some other community. Both the fighting communities, they sometimes check their vehicles on the road, so they started telling them, asking them not to do such kind of things, as it violates their right. And recently there has been reports about some Meitei people trying to stop Naga people from going on the road. There are many incidents started, and at the same time there are reports of armed civilian but armed with sophisticated weapon roaming around the city with whose permission, whom we don't understand. Whether they are, why these people are allowing to move around in the city along with arms and ammunition in the broad daylight, and there has been already a fear has been created to each and every people. So when you ask about how many miles to go, I would like to say that this is a kind of political experience that these leaders have in their minds. So they will keep this fear until the next election, and they will again use the fear to win this election. They will not take out this fear from the mind. They will keep this fear to the people's mind, and then they will try to show their all might to show that you people will be in danger if you started raising your hand against us. This is the message they are trying to give, and definitely we are getting that message. And now, after election, before this election, I don't think that this the so-called conflict going on right here will end. This will be my first observation.
Okay, to follow up on what you just said, Rinku, do you think that the government has the power to end this conflict in a very swift manner, but still delaying it because of putting it as an election agenda?
Actually, it is the duty of the government to protect the life and property of every citizen of its state. It is also a state subject. This is not only me speaking. This is, stated by Chief Justice of Supreme Court of India. So, when the state government has failed to protect life and security and property of its own state, then do you think that they are trying something to do that to prove that there is an existence of a governance out here? They are trying to, they are proving in another way, they are showing that they are trying to show that there is a government, but the reality is that the way they are showing is like, they are trying to make the people think that there is no one other than us. They will come to power, and you people should be silent if you want to remain happy in this land. These are the ways that they are trying to show. And they are also showing that we can do everything. We can end the war also. We can divide the people also. Someone from behind is also showing this to the people of this Manipur. Why I am telling this? Because there has been a war, a rebellion movement demanding, sovereignty for the state from a long time, starting from 1949 when Manipur merged to India. From that time too, there has been a rebellion movement against it. It is from the time of Irabot, that, and till now. A series of armed rebellion movement has been going on, and it is sometimes it went out of hand, and then in order to control this, there might be some technique that some from the center wanted to use, and this might be the reason. This might be the reason to the reason to control this armed rebellion movement, to show, to prove that Manipur, which we claim as an Israel nation, which is more than 2,000 years old history, which have more than 2,000 years old history, this dream, this perception that we all have in our mind, it has been crumbled very slowly because of this conflict. Mm-hmm. So in one way, the one behind this is successful in one way. In other, it may be like there may be blame game, so and so. But definitely, to my mind, to my thinking, there is something, some power behind from this who is creating these things in Manipur.
Okay, you did very strong remarks from Rinku right now. Now I'll be moving on to Madam Noutuneshowri. Regarding the exchange of dead bodies that just happened recently, there was a very clear-cut direction from the Honorable Supreme Court on how to handle this exchange of these dead bodies. And there has been allegations to the state government that the government did not follow all the required procedures in full. Do you think will this lead to further legal complications in the future, Madam?
Your question is well, but in my opinion, it is not the allegations for non-compliance of the Supreme Court's order is not yet well founded. Okay. Why? Because the authorities, the state government will submit a report to the Honorable Supreme Court, and the Honorable Supreme Court will decide on that. Because the Honorable Supreme Court's judgment was acted on the basis of the report of the Judge Committee. And it is clearly mentioned in the Supreme Court. I have brought the Supreme Court's order that in para 1 is clearly stated that on October 21, 2023, the committee, that is the Judge Committee, chaired by Justice Gita Mittal, has submitted a report. On that basis, the order of the Supreme Court was passed. So, the state government also has filed an application for making a standard operative system. In that standard operative procedure, the state government has clearly stated that after detailed discussion, the following decisions were taken. Taken means the identified and the unclaimed bodies shall be taken up separately from those of unidentified ones. in the Judge Committee, it has been clearly mentioned that the total number of reported death is 175. Number of the bodies identified is 169. Number of identified bodies claimed by their next of kin. Number of bodies identified but not claimed. Number of unidentified bodies. Out of these, only 88 unidentified, identified but not claimed. It is it is suspected that they are from Myanmar residents.
Okay.
And for these matters, the state government has to submit report. After receiving the report, we can comment upon that. So the allegations of not complying the Supreme Court's order is at this stage, I cannot comment upon that.
Okay, okay, understood on that point. Moving on with our topic of the day, as Rinku also said, regarding the restrictions in movement and also the feeling of not feeling safe in our own state. I'll move on to Mr. N.Ibungochoubi, that even though a lot of us do want peace to prevail, there are armed groups on both sides that are eager to fight till the very end. And any leader or individual who wants to talk for peace is even considered a traitor by their groups. So there is some kind of a locked horn kind of a situation in this. So how can we break this deadlock with negotiations? Mr. N.Ibungochoubi.
Amrita, as I said, every government should have a plan. Every administration should have a policy of its own. As I said, the government in Delhi, of course, as you know, it's the BJP, and the government in Manipur is also BJP. And there should be a very, very common sense and the linear thinking between the two parties and between the two governments, which are the same party, and they should be in the common thought. So they should have a common thought. Whether the first is, we ask questions to the government whether they have not been able to comprehend the present situation, whether they have been able to comprehend, whether they have been able to understand or analyze the present crisis that the people of Manipur are facing today. Unless you understand, unless you make an attempt to understand what the problems are, the solutions are just going to be in the horizon. The solutions that we are looking at is when you try to understand, when you try to have a dialogue, whether it is a bilateral talk or a trilateral talk or a multilateral dialogue between many communities. We do not see at this very moment. And when you allow your children to fight for a long time, I'm not going to talk about the people of Manipur, but I'm just giving a simple example. When you allow two people, say precisely your two children, to quarrel, to fight for a long time, the problem lengthens.
Right.
And as a very responsible parent, as a very responsible government, when the problem starts, there should have been a very prompt initiative, action, to at least stop that conflict. This is what I had already commented earlier. And when you deliberately allow, knowingly or unknowingly, allow two groups to have a conflict for such a long time, we are compelled to presume that you have not been able to tell the people that your administration or the rule of law does not exist within the frame of your own thinking. This is what we have to comment editorially. And when you have allowed two communities to have a conflict for such a long time, though it was not a continuous conflict, from time to time there might be a lull, there might be a break, but you know, if you said that there was a break or there was a peace, there was some kind of a normalcy, I think that was just for the sake of saying. And if you see a traffic jam in Imphal and say that peace has come back or normalcy has come back, I think that would be the wrong interpretation of the administration.
Right.
And now I would always say, as I have said in the past, that first, as an administration, you should have the political acumen. You should have the political acumen to understand. Then that should be supported by political wisdom, at least if you want to bring about a solution. And lastly, you should have the political will to bring about a solution. So I think as of now, editorially I have commented, and I have also said in the past, until today, I will say that the present government lacks the political acumen. And secondly, they also lack the political wisdom to understand what is happening. And since the problem has continued, we have to simply say that you do not have, the governments do not have the political will to at least try to make an attempt. We read in newspapers, we read in our chapters of history during the partition of the subcontinent into Pakistan and East Pakistan and India. There were many riots. There were bloods. There were riots. But at least there was a leader. You know, we used to read. We used to see in the movies. We used to read that one person called Mahatma Gandhi used to, at least among that bloody fights, he used to go and sit in between and said, "Let us stop fighting." At least there was a will for the gentleman, the father of the nation, that he went and said, "Let there be no fight." And this, he risked his life as a leader. What I'm trying to say, or the point that we should understand, is that if at all the government has the will, maybe wrong or right, they should have come out with some kind of a thought that we should share in public, that we are planning in such a manner. And as many people in the country have commented, that not a single word has come out from the Prime Minister of our country.
Right, even the Parliament, even during the Parliament session. That is the biggest tragedy.
Right. And now, when the Union Home Minister visited Manipur when the crisis started, I think he made the remark that I'll be back in 10 days, 15 days, or he gave a date. And right. So far, we are yet to see him in this very state. That means whether the government of India takes the problem, takes the issues that is attracting national and international media, whether the government of India is serious about bringing a solution or bringing about at least trying to make an attempt. Are they serious about it? This is a question that we ask as common people. I'm not talking as a media person, but as a common people, we are asking whether the union government is serious about thinking about Manipur. Right. That is the issue, and we cannot be running in the dark. We cannot be groping in the dark, presuming that heaven or that peace will come from sky or from beneath, thinking that there will be peace. I think somebody has to make a very serious attempt as to how some result can be brought about. And to be discussing about peace, that there is normalcy in peace, peace in Manipur, I think people are wise enough to say that you're not telling the truth. You're not telling the truth when the movements are restricted, when talking about sharing about your ideas in public itself also draws some kind of a fear among the intellectuals when they cannot speak about things openly, or what is happening. Being a critic, as it used to be, I think many of the critical observations that we are used to hearing as reporters and journalists, I think those critics also have to some extent decided to keep mum. I think that is the biggest tragedy now in Manipur. And now I think to presume that there is peace by saying that normalcy has come back, I think I should say, don't fool the people.
And again, in your opening remarks, N.Ibungochoubi, you even said that the people of Manipur does not feel any connection to, or does not feel the transparency that the government even has any plan to solve this. Like there is a lack of transparency and a lack of and a divide between the government and what they are thinking, and again the divide between the people of Manipur. I would like to hear your thoughts on that, on why is that, and also please give an input regarding regarding that.
Amrita, to be saying certain things at this platform and what we discuss at home and what we hear in the bylands of Manipur, every laikai, every corner, every street corner, or every laikai, a small gathering, there are many gatherings in Manipur. What people are talking in closeted circles is something that is not coming out in the open. Now there are many things, many thoughts being shared within the corners, within the silent corners of the people in Manipur, which is not openly heard. I do not know the reason why the people of Manipur today are apprehensive, or today they fear of speaking out their minds as it used to be. It used to be in the past. Now this is something which is a tragedy that we are experiencing now in Manipur. Many intellectuals, many thought-provoking ideas used to be shared in the past, as recent past. However, in this very context of what is happening in Manipur, I think even the right-thinking persons who are very sound, who are intellectuals, who are academics, and very serious thinkers, we are yet to hear serious opinions from them in public.
Right.
Maybe the situation is too grave, it is too sad, and to some extent, I think the freedom of expression in some way is curtailed because they fear how their views can be received. I think this is also one of the aspects of why we are not able to comprehend. From that perspective, common people are common people, but the government has a responsibility. That is how my opening remark was, the rule of law. This
Right.
is what I insist.
Indeed,
that
the onus is on the government after all.
The government has to prove to the people that they exist, and the rule of law has to be there. This is what the government has to tell the people. This is what we believe.
Indeed. I'll be moving on to Rinku, that if ever there comes a point for negotiations or peace talks, what do you think should be the terms and conditions for both sides to agree upon?
I don't think how this concept of political dialogue between two ethnic community will solve this ongoing problem.
Okay.
Because this is the state of Manipur, it is the complete failure of the government that's happening. You know, it's a lack of intelligence from the side of the government, that they have failed to control these violence classes from the beginning. This statement was also accepted by the government itself. They have already
Right.
told that there has been lack of intelligence input from the side, so they have failed to control this when it was at the right time. So, coming to your question, if there is a dialogue, what will be the dialogue? That is what I think you are asking me.
Yes.
So, what is the demand of the other community? Their demand is to segregate Manipur into, two or three, whatever it doesn't matter, but they demand a separate administration for their own community, a community-based state. They demand. And the other community is demanding that, no, you cannot do that, because this is a nation, 2,000 years old of history. We have 2,000 years old of history, and more than that also we have. This is a erstwhile nation. Before merging to the India also, merging to the Union of India also, it was a nation state. So we have our own constitution. This was a nation, and this nation, which our forefather has been safeguarding and protecting, cannot be segregated into pieces. This is another community demand. Then when these two community talk, come to a table and start a dialogue, what will be the condition? The other will say that we want this, and the other will say, no, you will not like it. There will be a quarrel too. The way that people are saying, some people are saying that political dialogue is a need. What political dialogue? Not in that way. It should not be in that way that some third person like the central government sitting as a judge, and then these two community representatives sitting one side and on the other side, and pleading to the central leadership, whom both the community consider as God of today. They don't believe in it themselves. They were, every community, each community, leaders of each communities are begging to the God who are sitting in the center and playing this thing to this Manipur for their, demand. So, when I say this, it is clear that there is a very strong thing playing here, putting here. Already they have created buffer zone. What is buffer zone?
Right.
In India itself, in a country within, not even within states, within district administration, can there be a buffer zone? Buffer zone is something that should be used only at a time of international, crisis.
Yes.
So this term has already been used, and then already there has been, as I already told you earlier also, in my first talk, I told you that we cannot move from freely in our own home. These are happening, and then fear has been, inciting every day to each and every people or community, people of this state. This is the way going on. So when we have to look for a peaceful solution, what we have to do is that we have to heart some of the demand from the other party too. Not that the core demand should not be that segregation of Manipur, and it should not be like that. And the other parties should also heart some of the demand from this party. That will be one solution without disturbing the boundary of the state.
Right.
Because the boundary of the state cannot be disturbed. This is not me telling. This is as per the international law, the UTI Pusiditas jury. It also strongly advocated that those nation states which earlier got freedom before British left, then they should be protected, as the boundary of those states should not be disturbed by any means after following this also. These were the writings of late Professor Sanazauba, and I also searched through the Googles, everyone can search it and can find it, how the UTI Pusiditas jury can protect the boundary of Manipur, unless and until there is a fight among each other and segregate by itself.
Right.
A force cannot, segregate. There will be strong, many protests will come from outside if it happens in the way that if some strong force divided us. But if it comes from inside and divided by ourselves, there is nobody can protect, nobody to protect. The law cannot also protect. The merger agreement become useless. Now they are trying to hide the merger agreement too. The merger agreement, Madam is also here. Yes. There was a merger agreement. Everyone accepted it, and the Home Minister himself also accepted it. But what they do not accept is that the merger agreement was the people of this Manipur. Many people, majority people of Manipur, have already resolved that the merger agreement was done in an illegal and illicit manners. That was what people resolved during a public convention in 1993. I still remember. So when there are things protecting our Israel nation inside India, the way that Hyderabad merged with India is another thing. Manipur merged with India is a separate condition.
Yes.
Jammu and Kashmir never merged with India.
Mm-hmm.
That was also, it's a fact, there is a history archive is there in New Delhi, and then they can see there. So when those playing game fails to do things with the help of the law or constitution or any other agreement or international law or so and so, they use other technique. They shrewdly use other technique, and this is the fallout of that very technique. Because from within ourselves there has been a demand to segregate Manipur into pieces. Once it has been separated into pieces, then they consider that the conflict around here for around 75 years is ended. And they might have thought, this is my personal perception, that in Amritkal, this is Amritkal, India is in Amritkal age, there is 75 years to 100 years. Yes. So during this year, they are trying to bring India as a developed country. In 2047, India's dream is to become a developed country, and to reach that, there should not be any conflict in any region of the country. Yeah. So if there is a strong rebellion movement or conflict here in the state of Manipur and Northeast and Mizoram or any other place, then the dream will be definitely shattered by itself. So in order to fulfill that, maybe because maybe it is a plan to fulfill that dream also.
Okay.
So the war started too soon, and there has been a bloody conflict going on, and it will continue for some times.
Right. Okay. I'd like to take a point that you just mentioned regarding there has to be a platform for hearing both sides. So I'd like to pick this point, and I'd like to move to Madam Noutuneshowri, that you have heard over hundreds of lawsuits and by hearing both sides. So regarding this, hearing the demands of both sides, do you think we need an external third party for this, or what, according to you, can this hearing of both sides and negotiations can be settled?
Yes. In law, in the civil procedure court, we have a settled law that mediation, arbitration, conciliation in the conflicting, in disputed parties between the here, in the sense that in the Kuki and the Meitei.
Yes.
And in this case, there must be an intervener, third party.
Yes.
Third party's intervention is highly required. And there is a theory of mediation. In the mediation, it is a win-win situation. And whatever the cookie, what is the demand of the cookie, it has to be heard. And what is the demand of the Meitei, and what is the crux between the two parties. Okay. And the third parties, who are, in this case, in such situation, third parties intervention is required. And this must regarding this.
And what happens if both the parties fail to agree upon a
so
solution?
In this rule of law is a state subject. It is a constitutional mandate of the state government to safeguard every, irrespective of the community, to safeguard the protection and everything. The government of India and the government of Manipur has to act without arbitrary, and there should not abuse of power should be neglected, and there should not be bias. And here, in this sense, that we have heard about the cookies that demand, that they are demanding separate administration.
Yes.
In the political, the Honorable Home Minister, at the time of election campaign, he has committed to the cookie that and if they win, if they come to in the power, and they ask for power giving, and in that situation, the whole community of Kuki, Mili Kuki, likewise whole Kuki community, they have supported the BJP government, and after that, they are also demanding their separate administration to the, it is a political conflict. It is a political conflict. The situation, in my opinion, this burning, it has been tossed by the BJP government, and it has to be extinguished by the BJP. In my earlier, in many platforms also, I have raised that. In the 3rd May conflict situation, it has been started from 3rd May. In the Surasampur, it has been started from Surasampur. In that, our Honorable CM has considered that there was a intelligence failure and a security lapses.
Yes.
Why the authority did not control in time.
Exactly.
And if there is situation, if that situation arose, that means that who is responsible for that? Whether the government has taken any legal step to those who hold the post of high profile. We are demanding that to take legal action within the ambit of constitution, not outside the constitution. We are claiming the rule of law is to be maintained by the state government. Rule of law as said by the Honorable Supreme Court in Manipur is totally fair. And the rule of law is to be maintained by the state government. I should say repeatedly that in that part the state government has done that. Whether the state government could able to protect the innocent villagers.
Right.
Innocent villagers, innocent citizens, in the sense that in the Kukis are also suffering in the Imphal Valley, and the Meiteis are also in the periphery area, and that they have been displaced. They are victims. They are the victims. Until and unless their resettlement is met properly, in my opinion, no peace can be settled.
Resettlement, yeah.
Yes, resettlement after giving adequate compensation.
Yes.
And proper adequate security. Regarding this, I have filed as an applicant to the Honorable Supreme Court with a relief to the displaced person to give resettlement. The matter is still pending in the Supreme Court.
Indeed, I'd like to bring that point to N.Ibungochoubi again. Madam have mentioned two very important criteria, like resettlement of those displaced and also their compensation. So according to you, is there any benchmarks or indicators that could mean that yes, there could be, there could be lasting peace since this part is done? There could be lasting peace after all. Is there any such indicators? What do you think?
Come again, I couldn't understand your question.
Yeah, Madam has just mentioned that we can have peace only when there is a resettlement of the displaced people and also their compensation. So what do you think that this thing that Madam has mentioned could also be the indicator for a lasting peace, or what do you think? Is there any other?
First, when the government is not in a position to reach out to the affected people.
Yes.
Now, hundreds and thousands of people are displaced from their respective homes. Many people are displaced.
Yes.
And now the question is the government able to reach out to those who are displaced and who are in the temporary camps? The first thing is to understand whether the government is able to reach out to the affected people. And even when they are not able to reach out to the affected people, the question of resettling them, which should come, in fact, that should be one of the agenda. However, I fail to see the administration reaching out to each and every one from many perspectives. I was in one of the relief camps with some of my friends. The conditions of the relief camps, forget about their board and lodging. The basic hygiene of the safety of the children as the winter has approached, I think it is one of the biggest tragedies that we still continue to see.
Right.
In the time of natural calamities, whether it is a flood, whether it is a drought, or in some areas where the seas are nearer, you could see the cyclones. There have been earthquakes in many parts of the country. And the government has its own system to reach out to the common people who are affected by natural calamity during a time of crisis.
Yes.
And those are crisis management teams, and they respond very promptly. We have a system. And now, the common people from different parts of the state, till today, even as a member of the society, we still continue to share our belongings. We still continue to contribute. And many people are still going door to door requesting for essential commodities at this hour for the affected people. And we also see many volunteers, many people who are concerned because they know the ground reality. When people are reaching out to the common people, literally asking for help, it is a simple indicator that our system, the administration, has not been able to reach out to address the issues of the affected people who are displaced and staying in the most pathetic temporary homes. I won't say homes, but temporary settlements. Our objective, our dream, and what we are thinking is that all displaced people should go back to their respective homes. In reality, and when people even cannot travel, and when people cannot even go out and reach out to a particular area, are we just saying that they should be settled? Of course, our idea is that people who are displaced should go back to their respective homes under the, whatever the case is. Our argument or our plea today is, and when the cold seasons have come in, and in fact, we were just talking about the basic hygienic surroundings that many of the temporary settlements are there. It is pathetic, and we are not able to address those issues yet. First, address those issues, ensure that our children get the basic so-called nutrition, the medical help, medical assistance. And when we saw the Swasti Puja in one of the relief camps of children in a group, it becomes a social media and a news item. It becomes viral. But the reality is that we are not able to address at least the common issues.
Right.
Now, there are many issues that have to be addressed. Now, at least look at the present need of the people who are displaced. Their survival, their education for the children, and at least basic hygienic lifestyle. And of course, as you say, as everyone wants to be home, I also recently watched one particular boy asking his parents, why are we staying here? Because he does not have the basic idea how what the crisis is.
Indeed.
But when in his innocent face, he simply asks his parents, why are we here? Why can't we go back home? You know, it makes you very sad.
Okay, I'd like to hear your comment.
It makes you very sad.
I'd like to hear your comment about
we should address
one more thing, that as you see that, as you have mentioned, that those in relief camps are being helped by the volunteers and in a community outreach program kind of a system, because the government is failing to reach out to them. Do you think that political leaders are electorally elected politicians? Are they a substitute for leaders, or leaders can come in various forms? But since in many times of crisis, usually leaders, a society produces tall leaders who will lead them out of the conflict. But in the case of Manipur, it's like everyone has jumped ship to save themselves. Is there a lack of leadership crisis, or do you think only the politicians can solve this kind of issues? Is it the power of only the politicians? Should we leave it only to the politicians itself?
You're asking me?
Yes.
Yes, owning up the responsibility is one question, one issue. One should have the courage to own up the responsibility. What I'm saying is we expect leaders to own up responsibilities. They should be brave enough to own up the responsibility. In one simple word, I would say that you should own up the responsibility. You should accept the challenges. You should make initiatives, at least. You should make the initiative. You should take a step forward to at least to resolve the issue if they simply have the wisdom and if they have the will to do so. And that is what we common people expect from the leaders. Otherwise, they won't be called leaders.
And
very simple.
Yeah, that's even the least to expect, to be honest. I'll be
regarding this,
yes, madam. Yes, you can add.
Regarding this, I want to mention something that regarding the Supreme Court order, regarding the non-furnishing, non-giving of everything needs, whatever needs, and taking care of syndrome or mentally ill, whatever for the senior citizen, whatever. The Supreme Court has passed order regarding this. But in our community, especially for the Meitei, we are not in the habit of complaining that even if the authority gives one, for example, anything is given to me, I am satisfied with that. If it is not complied at all, everything has been discussed by the Supreme Court and the Judge Committee has been monitoring. Without expending money also, we can file it, we can to the Judge Committee, and the Judge Committee will forward the report to the Supreme Court. Supreme Court has already passed the order to extend the bare necessities of the displaced person, of the victims. But we are not in the habit of reporting timely to the Judge Committee or the Supreme Court that we have not been given such and such things. This must.
Okay, do you think it's because people, those, do you mean those people
aware of the order? In the Supreme Court's order, it is clearly stated that to reach out, to disseminate the order of the Supreme Court. And it has been on our pursuance, it has been translated by the Honorable High Court in the Roma language and the Bengali script also. And the Supreme Court has asked the Chief Secretary to circulate and to make aware to all, even the person who does not possess the mobile phone or the news and the daily papers, even that person also, the state government is to take care of that, to know the Supreme Court's order. That's why everything has been discussed in the Supreme Court judgment of 7 August and it has to be widely circulated. But the authorities, I should say that it has been circulated to email and WhatsApp only, not physically.
Okay.
But from we have a association or justice, Citizens for Justice. We have tried our best level, and we have taken a copy from the Honorable High Court, the translation copy, which is written in Manipuri language, and we have dispersed something. But no one is ready, and no one is willing to read out. Only when the victim knows that they have been victimized, only that they will search for law. Right. Otherwise, no. And the preventive action, preventive measures, and the reporting in time to the Supreme Court, to the Judge Committee
legal
is also
awareness,
highly required. And if they don't comply that order, the Supreme Court will take contempt action. The authority will comply. Everything. So we must be in the habit of reporting to the Judge Committee regarding this violence. I should say like this.
And also regarding the compensation that you mentioned earlier,
yes.
Is the compensation also mentioned in this particular order?
Yes, yes. There is a scheme for victims' compensation scheme. For the murder, it is 10 lakh. For the gang rape, it is also 10 lakhs. For the rape, 7 lakhs, and it has been described in that like that.
Okay.
It has been notified, and it has been granted to that also. And it is for the crime only, not for the demolition of our structures, our buildings,
properties.
Not for that.
But why is that left out? Because that is also another important part of those.
It has to be decided from case to case. Somebody has a big building, somebody has a hut, and it shall be their guess. It has to be questioned. It has to be taken care by the state government also regarding that matter.
Okay, indeed, a very big exercise to be done.
Yes.
On that note, I'll move on to Rinku again. Regarding this compensation, I'm interested to know that before a final piece of agreement comes, the issue of compensation will certainly arise. How do you think the government will compensate those who went missing and whose bodies were never found? What about them?
Actually, right now, Madam has mentioned in detail about how the compensation should be awarded to the victims of this violence. To those who are victims of rape, should be compensated at least 7 lakhs. Or even the government of Manipur has paid more than 10 lakhs, I think, to 2 women victims who were paraded naked somewhere in Awang Chiang Mai. Anyway, regarding compensation for the structures and all, it is, it's difficult to measure.
Okay.
When all the belongings has been destroyed and when everything has been put, flattened, how do you expect to count to measure the amount of money that will be compensated? And that also, one thing that what I feel very shameful, and of being a citizen of Manipur who elected our government, is that everything that they should do, they wait for Supreme Court or High Court order to do things. And that too, they will not act it until and unless the High Court redirected again or the Supreme Court reminded again. So this is a thing happening, and everything that should be supposed to be done, because when people are in trouble, when people are in relief camp, it is a duty of the government, already told earlier, to make sure that their life is protected there. When I said their life, it also accompanied with health issue, sanitary issue, everything issue. So all these issues they have to look after. They have to ensure the clean water facilities. They have to ensure everything for safety of those living inside the relief camp. Forget about making them return to their original place. So, resettlement to resettle to their original place. Forget about that. When these victims are in rehabilitation relief camp, those things that should be done immediately, or those things that should be done essentially, are never done. So when it goes up to the Supreme Court to direct the government to let them do something for those victims of violence who are in the relief camp. So what do you expect when these people resettle in their own place? when the conflict settled, when the conflict is ended, and then when they started resettling, how do you expect how many compensation, how many amount word from the government? There will be bundles of court cases in either in the High Court or Supreme Court for claiming compensation if it case happen. I think. Forget about the life. Forget about the missing people who are more than 27 people are missing, still missing.
Yes.
And some of them have been cremated with pangong, which we ritually done.
Yeah, without the bodies indeed.
So we have done those things, and there are a lot of missing cases. How you are going to count the compensation for a missing person when it is 10 lakhs for a dead body or dead victim? How is it going to be in the case of missing person?
Indeed.
Either they cannot declare they are dead, or something very difficult area, some fishy area, some very technically difficult area also arises here because of a negligence of the part of the administration. That is reality.
Yes, indeed.
Whatever everything happening here today, for the last 7 months, it seems that normalcy has been restored because of the vehicles seen in Imphal Road, the crowd seen in Imphal Road. We feel like that the normalcy is returned. But when you go a little beyond this area, Imphal area, you will feel the pain of those affected by this violence. But still then, during hard times, there is a saying that during hard times too, we have the singing. There should be a singing in hard times. So that's what it's happening. And
yes,
everything seems not going on that.
Indeed, very
right
strong point. I'd like to conclude our debate right here with the remarks of Oja Rinku and Oja N.Ibungochoubi and Madam. I would like to summarize that today, while discussing the need and the many milestones that we need for peace, there is a layer of complexities that arise to meet the to meet the desired level of peace that we need. We have discussed today regarding compensations, regarding resettlements, regarding the political will of our leaders to act and indeed to bring about the peace that we need desperately. On that note, I'd like to thank our experts for joining us tonight and giving us their very valuable insights. I'd like to thank Oja N.Ibungochoubi, Madam Noutuneshowri, and Oja Rinku Khumukcham for being here in the studio and giving us very important details regarding our topic tonight. I'd also like to thank our viewers for tuning in tonight. Please share your feedback and comments with us. We'll be back again next Monday, same time, with more exciting topics. Please keep watching ELITETV. This is Amrita signing off. Have a good week.